you explain to people out there what more like this triangle of information, knowledge, and experience?
Yeah.
How do they work together?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in the intel world, we're always trying to find intelligence. The equivalent of intelligence in the everyday world is knowledge, right? Knowledge of things that are essentially forbidden for you to know. That's intelligence. Intelligence is really secrets that you're not supposed to know. Knowledge that you're not supposed to know is the closest thing that we have in the everyday world. The way that we get there
is... You know it, meaning it's truth.
No, you're not allowed to know it because it's a secret. That's what intel is, right?
Right.
So knowledge is essentially the equivalent of that, except that it's knowledge that you otherwise wouldn't have known to be true.
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
There you go. Absolutely. So the cycle that we're taught is a triangle. And at the top of the triangle is information. Everybody has access to information, and information is everywhere.
Everywhere.
We talked about sensors when we talked about the Myers-Briggs personality types. You can use your 5 senses to pick up information from anywhere. What you see, what you hear, what you read, what you taste, whatever, right? Information is everywhere, but not all information is true. Not all information is valid. Not all information is trustworthy. Some information is straight up malicious, right? So information is not enough on its own. It has to be refined into knowledge. The way that you refine that information into knowledge is through multiple different tools. You can find multiple sources that corroborate information. So can
you define knowledge?
Sure. So knowledge is stronger evidence-based information that has the predominantly is probable to be true. That is knowledge.
Okay.
Right? If it has a low probability of being true, it's not really knowledge.
Okay.
If it isn't heavier, weightier than information, then it's not knowledge either, right? So knowledge is something that gives you an advantage. Knowledge is a fundamental truth or a high probability of being true that you can use to leverage yourself.
Like knowing, I don't know, like knowing that your car is currently in the parking lot right now. You have knowledge of the location of your vehicle.
Right, that you may not have. You don't have that knowledge right now.
Okay.
Right? You have information because I'm here, therefore my car must be here.
Right, okay.
But where is it parked? Is it parked here or across the street or somewhere else? Let me give you an example that comes out of COVID headlines, right? China has said that their COVID vaccine has a 79% efficacy rate. Right? So it's 79% effective according to efficacy. The UAE, who is also running a parallel test of the same vaccine, has claimed that it has an 89% efficacy rate. China, who created the vaccine, says it's 79%. The Emiratis say that it's 89%. That's a 10% discrepancy. Nobody has filled in the gap as to how these two countries, using the same vaccine, have reached such different conclusions. Right? That information, if somebody were to read a headline that said that the Chinese, whatever it's called, Sino vaccine or something, whatever it's called, the Chinese vaccine is 89% effective. That's not really true, right? That's just one source of information from one country that has said that. Once you kind of continue researching, continue collecting more information, you see that another country who actually developed it has said something different. So now you have the knowledge to know you can't trust either number.
Right.
You see how that works?
Yes.
Otherwise, you would just be moving forward with information.
Okay.
So that is the difference between information and knowledge. What you see, what you hear, what you think isn't always true. Like there's more information to be gathered. The more information you gather that vets and validates something to be true, the closer it is getting to being knowledge.
Got it.
So once you have multiple pieces of information that confirm that something is true, now you have knowledge. Knowledge is a tool. Knowledge is a genuine advantage. Tons of people out there making decisions based on information, they're making the wrong decision. Wasting money, wasting time, right? Making mistakes. You make your decisions based off of knowledge. You don't waste your money, you don't waste your time, you don't make mistakes. That's why knowledge is like intelligence in the intel world. CIA doesn't want to invade a country or launch some offensive because of bad information. So they're going to vet it, they're going to test it, they're going to make sure it's true intel, true knowledge before they take action.
Okay.
So we need to do the same thing. If we do the same thing, we have significant advantage over all the other people around us who are just acting on information.
Right.
Once you have that knowledge, you take action. Once you take action, what does action do? You gain new experience from the action that you're taking, right? So you using that same China UAE study on how effective is the Chinese corona vaccine, right? There's plenty of people, there's a whole country, the entire country of UAE and all the foreign residents in that country were mandated to take the vaccine as soon as it came out in like December. Government mandate pushed down by the royal crown prince, right? To me, that's crazy. But now, 3 months later, we look back on that and we're like, how immune, how vaccinated is that country really? Is it 89% or is it 79% or is it something else altogether? Mm-hmm. We have the knowledge now to know not to take that vaccine and not to trust the numbers about that vaccine from either of those countries or from any other country that's probably going to report it. But instead, we're going to pay attention to the discrepancies in each of their reports. That's going to give us experience that we can use to collect more information, right? What are the other countries that are using the vaccine? What are their reports? Now we have a whole different range of questions that we can ask. How did UAE test this? How did China test this? How will Paraguay test this? How will Somalia test this, right? Like all the countries that are involved, we now know the right questions to ask to gain information that goes back to the top of the triangle, right? And the more information that we gain that confirms, validates, and proves to be true, the more knowledge we get, the better the questions can be. And there we have what we call an intel triangle, what everyday people, what I teach as a knowledge triangle, right?
Right.
And it's a self-fulfilling, like it's a feedback loop that you keep using to refine yourself over and over again.
Right.
Better information is never available. Information is garbage everywhere. You can always use garbage information to find true knowledge, though. Knowledge gives you true experience, which is going to give you more garbage information, but you can cull through the garbage information to find more true knowledge. Instead, people are trying to find true information. You're never going to find it.
No. But the thing about information is that it's just so it's clickbait. Clickbait is just the slew of crazy, headlines that are out there that people love to share and get clicks and get comments on and respond to it, which essentially just makes more money.
Yeah, exactly. There's a push-pull relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Information is always going to be pushed. It's always going to be pushed out, pushed to you, pushed to everybody, because information is used to make money. Like you said, clickbait, advertising, attention, dollars, right? Ratings, whatever it might be. So there's always an incentive to push out information. Mm-hmm. The only way you're going to get knowledge is to pull. You have to pull from the information the pieces that corroborate, the pieces that validate, the pieces that are true, that vet, right? Pull those out, and now you have a much smaller pool of genuine knowledge. It's what I do with Everyday Spy, the whole core of my business method is to basically create knowledge and share that knowledge with corporate clients, with individual clients, with training personnel, with other intel services, right? Anybody who employs me. My goal is to cull through information, create knowledge, teach people how to cull through information, create knowledge, because the knowledge is the real value. The information is just a distraction.
What kind of people contract you to do this kind of work?
So I've actually served in UAE. I actually had a contract with the UAE government.
Really?
To go out there and teach them how to do this, because where they had learned before was not accurate or valid. So I've worked for foreign governments. I've worked for US DOD. I've worked for major military contractors here in the United States.
Really?
I've got I'm currently I'm sending out a proposal today to Silicon Valley, like massive companies out there that like NDAs, but that have an interest in the same skill set. There's a huge demand out there for being able to keep up with conflicting information and making something valuable out of it, because there's so much information out there. It's the same process as like making iron ore. You got to dig a lot of dirt and pull a lot of iron ore out before you can smelt it into iron. It's the same process happening now. There's a ton of information. You got to dig through a lot of information and have a process to pull out the little bits that are ore and smelt them into something useful like iron.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a huge problem that would be great if we could solve it.
Yeah.
With people just digesting tidbits of information and not getting the full picture.
Right. And it's what kills me is that it's not the people who recognize the problem The more money they are worth, the more net worth an individual has, what I have seen, the more aware of the problem they are. Because the more net worth you have, the more money you're investing, the more you're trying to use money to make money, right? So you see it as a big problem because you want to make the right investment because you don't want to waste your money, right? Your money is your biggest asset.
Right.
But that's only like 2% of the population. I think the top 10% of income earners earn $190,000 or more.
Really?
That's not that much money.
Right.
That means 90% of the country earns less than $190,000 a year. The less money you make, the less you think information is a problem because you're not investing your money to try to make more money. You're just trying to survive day to day, right? You go to work, you work 8 hours, you come home every week or every 2 weeks, you get your paycheck. You spend almost all of your paycheck on food, daycare, basic entertainment needs, whatever else. You're not saving it. You're not investing it. So you're looking for information to just be a distraction, to be an escape from the humdrum routine of life.
Right.
So they don't see that as a problem. So there's nothing I can do for them. But the people who recognize, the people who have enough wealth or enough insight to realize like information is a problem, and where there's a problem, there's a hidden advantage, because the companies that can solve the problem first will make the most money. The investors who can solve the problem first will make the best investments. Like the countries that can solve the problem first will have the most security.